Good evening, everybody. My name is David McGovern, and as the principal of the Harold L. Qualters Middle School, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the middle school years. I'm going to pause for a moment on this first slide to make sure that people looking for this presentation with translator services can find the appropriate link if they did not have it already. We are offering translated presentations this evening in Portuguese, Arabic, and Spanish. These are the same links shared out by Mr. Narako. We'll pause here for about 20 seconds for people to change their viewing place, for lack of a better term, if needed, and then we'll be started. Again, welcome everybody to our 6th grade parent and guardian orientation. This is one of the first public steps we take in preparation to promoting or moving up our 5th grade students from the Jordan Jackson to QMS. We're excited to have you here, and we really hope that you find yourselves to be an integral part of the QMS school community over the upcoming 3 school years. I'd like to take a moment to introduce my administrative team and also to introduce some people who will be supporting us this evening. Obviously, I mentioned myself. I'm David McGovern, and I'm the principal here at Qualters. I have 2 assistant principals that help in the administration of the school, and that's Mr. Hoffman and Ms. Cotillo. They will be running some of our translated presentations this evening. Joining me later in the presentation, I have Dr. Zach Abrams. He's our Assistant Director of Special Education. Ms. Mintz will be available via email if people have questions. She's our Mathematics Department Chair, but she's not joining us this evening. Ms. Martin will be our grade 6 counselor for the class of 2027. So Ms. Martin will loop with this group of students from grade 6, 7, and 8 as they transition their way up to Mansfield High School. Ms. Martin is running also one of our translated presentations. Joining us in the chat feature today is Ms. Rossi and Ms. Manganaro. They are 2 of our other counselors. Ms. Rossi next year would be working with our 7th grade and Ms. Manganaro with our 8th grade. I'm very grateful that they were able to join us this evening, excuse me, and provide their support responding to questions that are in the chat box. Please hold personal questions for another time if they're directly related to an individual student or your child, because we obviously want to make sure that we maintain and protect your child's confidentiality. They'll be happy to answer questions related to the general operations of the school. And then if there's any overarching questions that seem to come up over and over again, they're going to notify me so that I can address them at the end of the presentation. So again, thank you, Ms. Rossi and Ms. Manganaro, for joining us today. The goal of this presentation is to provide you, our current 5th, rising 6th grade parent and guardians, with a clear understanding of the middle school model, what a day in the life of a QMS 6th grader will look like, and the steps that we will be taking to transition your child from 5th grade at Jordan Jackson or any other school that they may presently attending to 6th grade at QMS next fall. Like most middle schools, QMS employs a team teaching model. A team is a group of educators that share a common set of students. As I go through this presentation, it will be rooted in the complete structure of the school we anticipate next year and the complete structure of our school that existed last year. Comparisons to everything this year will obviously look a little different, as we had to make some adjustments to meet different situations that have arisen out of the pandemic. We have 3 teams at each grade level in a traditional school year, and that will be next year. And in 6th grade, that would be our orange, yellow, and purple teams. These teams are made up of our 5 what we call core content areas: ELA, math, science, social studies, and literacy. And oftentimes the team also includes a special educator. These teachers all share the same group of students. I would say an average team size is somewhere between 80 and 90 students. And that allows them to work collaboratively in meeting the needs of that particular student body. Each team will have a liaison. That liaison becomes the overarching contact person for general concerns about academic progress and student needs. We'll talk a little bit more about who to reach out to when later on in the presentation. Our teams have common planning time. Every 7 school days, they have 3 common planning time periods scheduled. And this allows them to talk about student learning and progress, make sure that they're mapping out what's going on in terms of projects, tests, quizzes, problem solve around issues that they may be seeing in the classroom, maintaining common expectations. It allows that body, that group, that team of teachers to operate a little bit more like an elementary teacher could independently. It is designed to help make the larger school feel smaller. We anticipate having approximately 805 students at QMS next year. You know, in my career, we've been up to about 1,300 in the building. So 805 is a lot, but sometimes to me, it doesn't feel that. Connections between students and teachers. Again, by having lots of things in common, there's an improved home-school communication system that rolls out and takes place. There's clear and consistent team-wide expectations. And again, that common set of students who share the same teachers is really the foundation of that. I also want to point out, though, that there is a lot of diversity. You could be on the same team and not have a class with somebody else who's on the same team. Because with the 5 on team classes, and then you start running all the different combinations of those 5 classes you could come up with, it does wind up to be quite a bit of variety in the student day, and definitely being on the same team should not be looked at as a definite would be in the same class type scenario. Middle school is, a different world from elementary school. Not too different, but it is different. Obviously, the most dramatic change is that there's more adults involved in your child's education. And the middle level, we move to an instructional model where the faculty members have more content specific training. And that's really what drives that model to broaden the number of teachers working with each group. Your child will be managing multiple classes, and they'll have materials and work for all those classes. Now, our 6th grade teachers are fantastic. We're not going to just kind of throw these things at students and expect them to fend for themselves. There's going to be a lot of time spent supporting, preparing students for this, teaching them, providing direct instruction on how to manage all of those things. Our 6th grade teachers are fantastic at that, and I know that it will not come as a shock to the system for your children. Nightly homework, not in all classes, but in multiple classes, is common. And again, the teams work collaboratively to try to make sure that they're doing the best job they can to spread things out. And at times when there needs to be multiple assessments or things in one week, they work with the students to prepare for that. And having 2 or 3 assessments in a week wouldn't be out of the norm or out of left field, but having that many in one day would, and we work to avoid that. At QMS, we employ the alphanumeric grading system, A, B, C, D, and we run our marking periods on trimesters. So there's a report card approximately every 60 school days. Additionally, teachers at the Qualters Middle School utilize a program called Aspen. It used to be called X2, so everybody still calls it X2, but it's Aspen. And they regularly update student progress in that system. So we don't do progress reports anymore because we kind of have this live updated system that students and parents and guardians as well alike can be checking. We do have a promotion policy in effect at QMS. The expectation is that students pass their core courses and those being English, math, science, and social studies. We don't count literacy in that, but English, math, science, and social studies for the year, and that's the average of all 3 trimesters. If they don't pass it, they would have to make whichever ones they didn't pass up in summer school to be promoted. We don't like to spend a lot of time on this because it's not something that gets, heavily relied upon, obviously, and it would never be a surprise to a parent if their child were in this situation. We have notification programs. We have ongoing conversation with parents if there's any danger of anything along those lines. So, but it is in place, and it is a thing that we do hold our student body accountable for. Children go through significant developmental changes during adolescence, and the differences between a 6th and 8th grader can be pretty dramatic. It's not uncommon to see shifting within social groups over the course of middle school, students changing who their friend peer group are and shifting to students, other children that they may find they have more common interests with. And obviously, you're entering that time period of puberty with significant hormonal and physical changes that students experience. And, it doesn't happen for everybody at the same time. So it creates a whole layer of awkwardness that I think we can all remember. Obviously, we're used to working in that environment, but it's something that we are constantly aware of at the middle level. It's not uncommon for students to really resist adult support at this age, and to start give like those one-word responses. Although my daughter is in 3rd grade and I feel like she's doing that to me already. So maybe many of you have experienced this. But the big piece here is not letting that be the norm and just working constantly with students, your children, to talk to them about the day and how things are going. There is an increased use and access to social media. Technically, there shouldn't be in 6th grade, because anytime somebody clicks on that agree to the terms and services on any social media, whether it's Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is, TikTok, they're agreeing that they're 13, and we don't have 13-year-old 6th graders. So, but it's the honor system that keeps that in place. So we do see that in-test use of access to social media, and we do a lot through our work at school to help communicate to students how what's appropriate and inappropriate on social media, and obviously handling situations that may arise at that time. But I will be honest, whenever we have to deal with anything that's a little out of the norm on social media, one of the first things I do point out is that in 6th grade and part of 7th grade, that there is actually an age guideline that they're not in line with. Students will become more busy managing their time, learning how to balance more things, extracurriculars, balancing school and after-school activities. After-school activities oftentimes ramp up the commitment a little bit more as students transition to middle school, and it's all natural and natural progression of life. And we're always working with students on it, but it's something to kind of be aware of from that parent's perspective as your child advances into the middle level. In terms of the academic courses that we offer at QMS, the core courses includes ELA, or English Language Arts, math, science, social studies, and literacy. Obviously, ELA, math, science, and social studies, I think people have a pretty good grasp of what those core courses are. Literacy is an expansion of our English and program with a higher focus on reading. And this is what we offer at the 6th grade level. Most 7th and 8th graders, in lieu of literacy, that's when we start offering a world language. This has been a pretty good program at the 6th grade, and we're really working throughout everything we do to foster a joy of learning. Students take 6 specials a year. These specials are 2 at a time, 2 per trimester. They meet every day. So students have a 7-period day, which I'll talk more about later on. The specials we offer are Wellness A and Wellness B. Both wellness courses are a blend of physical education and health. The Successful Student is a wonderful course we offer that works on preparing students with academic skills that they'll need in 7th grade and beyond. We offer visual art in 7th grade. We offer performing arts in 7th grade. That's a more theater-based class. And we offer digital literacy, which is a computer class. So it's a pretty healthy offer of specials. The students are automatically enrolled in those courses throughout the year. We offer 3 ensemble elective programs, which we'll talk a little bit more about later on in the presentation. But they are band, chorus, and orchestra. They are a pull-out program. And what I mean by that is every Monday and Friday, and the courses are designed, the specials are designed with this in mind. They miss one of their specials to participate in the whole ensemble rehearsal, so like band rehearsal. So example, if I'm taking Wellness A and Successful Student, on Monday I along with everybody else would miss Wellness A, and then on Friday, or everybody else who's in the ensemble, and then on Friday I would miss Successful Student. The specialists, the teachers running those classes, design their instruction fully knowing that they're going to have less students on those days, so it does work relatively seamlessly. Additionally, we have a pull-out lessons program that rotates through all 7 periods. It impacts each class only 1 or 2 times throughout the course of the school year, where students come down for their lesson. But example, I might have an ELA this cycle, math the next cycle, then science, then social studies, then literacy, then special, then another special, then back to ELA. So it does really spread it out. We've been doing it for quite a few years, and it has worked very well. If you have concerns about your child missing any academics for it, we can obviously discuss it, but I'll be honest that we have been doing this for a long time, and it has never manifested itself in being a problem. If there's a student struggling in a particular area, Ms. Pepicelli and Ms. Urban intervention, they would have access to some of their teachers for some level of extra help. And then on some days, they would have general support from a teacher working with them in terms of organization and time management and preparing and things like that. It is an intervention course that we put in place when students are struggling to meet the expectations within their core academics. And it's something that we constantly reevaluate. We really don't want a child to go into academic intervention and stay there. We offer reading as we're anticipating we offer reading in 2 formats next year. The first is specifically designed instruction for students receiving special education services that have reading goals. And that's a separate class specifically for those students. We're also anticipating offering reading intervention as a tier 3 or higher level support for students who have demonstrated through screeners and through classroom performances that their classroom performance that they're struggling in the area of reading. Study skills is a specifically designed instruction for students requiring that special education service in terms of specifically targeted goals in their individualized education plans. The Academic Learning Center is also a tier 3 gen ed support that we have. The Academic Learning Center operates to service students who are showing some widespread general academic struggles across multiple areas. We've tried academic intervention and it hasn't worked. Oftentimes it's supporting students who may have missed a significant amount of school due to medical reasons, and a lot of more complex cases like that we use that program to intervene with. the targeted math intervention that we look to implement next year. All classes at QMS are pretty much heterogeneous with the exception of math. We'll talk a little bit about math levels a little bit later on. It's a little bit later on. At the 6th grade level, we offer 2 math courses, Math 6 and Math 6 Enriched. Both courses cover the same curriculum frameworks assigned by the state. For the most part, the best way to think of the difference is that the Math 6 and Enriched class will go a little bit faster and will go a little bit deeper into more activities that extend the curriculum a little bit farther. Ms. Mintz, our math department chair, is working and coordinating diligently already with the 5th grade over at Jordan Jackson in terms of identifying the student performance data that would be used to help make placement recommendations. We will use that data to make the math placement recommendations, and we will be mailing out those placement letters in really early June or late May. The goal is to make sure that you, as the parents and guardians, receive those math placement letters prior to the end of school. If you have questions about our math placement program, we're always here to talk about it. The best contact person, and I'll have her email address at the end, is the math department chair for grades 6 through 12. She's fantastic, Ms. Mintz. She'll be happy to answer any of your questions as we work through the process. So again, it's the 2 math levels we have, 6 and 6 Enriched, with Enriched moving faster and deeper through the same curriculum. Both are offering the 6th grade math curriculum. I will point out, because sometimes people talk to current 6th grade, this year we did not offer 6 Enriched because of all the limitations that we were facing due to the pandemic, but we fully anticipate returning to this program next year. Now what I'd like to do is hand the digital microphone over to Dr. Abrams, who's going to take a moment to talk about special education at Qualters. So, Dr. Abrams.
Thanks, Mr. McGovern. As Mr. McGovern mentioned, my name is Zachary Abrams, Assistant Director of Special Education at the secondary level. The Special Education Department at Qualters Middle School will really support an inclusive practice in the least restrictive environment. This includes both core content areas, electives, and also extracurricular activities and opportunities for students after school. Special education staff from both the Jordan Jackson and Qualters Middle School really worked hard this year to meet. We met earlier this school year to discuss the needs of the students coming into the 6th grade for next year. And additionally, we've had special education staff attend some transition meetings for 5th grade students for this school year in anticipation of next school year. As previously discussed, at Qualters, we have a team-based model, which typically includes both a special education teacher and paraprofessional on each team. This collaboration is key to our supporting our students as classroom teachers frequently meet as a team with special education staff. We look forward to welcoming your child next school year. Please feel free to contact me with any questions throughout the remainder of this school year, or also during the summer months. I'm available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Abrams. Next, I'd like to talk about the schedule that we employ at QMS. It is a 7-period day, and each period is 50 minutes long. Again, if you talk to somebody now, they're going to tell you it's a 6-period day because we had to make some changes this year. But last year and next year, it will be 7 periods a day, each period being 50 minutes long. Students will take those 5 full-year core courses with 2 specials each trimester, and the schedule rotates each day in a predictable pattern. Sometimes when people first see the schedule, it looks a little overwhelming, so I'm prefacing it before I show it to you. But please understand that our teachers will spend a great deal of time making sure students understand it, and additionally, they will the students will pick up on it real quick. So you can see on the left-hand side, there are the 7 periods, and then we have 7 days, each day A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Then there are what we call sections, and the language gets confusing the first time you hear it. Our students do great with it. Our teachers do great with it. And it's kind of built into our software program. So we do stick with it. But you'll see that the dark bolded numbers under the times represents the section. So if I have my section 1 class on day A, first period from 7:25 to 8:15, I will then have that same class period 2 on day B from 8:17 to 9:07, and you can see that it moves down throughout the day. We find that by moving the classes throughout the day results in improved student learning opportunities, because if you're a morning person, it's great if you're first period, but if you're not a morning person, that's usually not the best. So by rotating it, it gives some predictable change and allows students to experience those different things. So that's really why we rotate the schedule. Our sixth grade teachers at the beginning of the year give the students the time and support to create a schedule where they don't write the numbers, they write the actual classes in on it, so they know exactly where they're going. So the day of a life of a sixth grader at QMS last year and next year, but not necessarily this year, just because of some of the changes we had to have in place. I am very confident we'll have a much more normal year next year. Doors open at 7:05 a.m. And each grade comes in and has a different area that they would be waiting in if they get in that early. For the sixth grade, that area is the cafeteria. We offer a grab-and-go breakfast program that's available to all students in the main lobby from 7:05 to 7:20. That program, like it has been this year, is going to be free of charge, or really reimbursed by the United States Department of Agriculture. So we'll have that option, and students can eat their breakfast in the cafeteria if they so choose. Students are dismissed from the cafeteria to their lockers at 7:15 a.m. and they have 10 minutes to get to 7:25, which is when first period begins. It is plenty of time, and we've been doing it for a while, so we know that the students have the time they need to get to where they're going. Attendance is taken first period. We don't have a homeroom. We take attendance during the first period, and we do our morning announcements first period as well. Students will have lockers. We hope. We're pretty confident. This year, that was something we weren't able to use, but I feel pretty confident that we'll be back to it next year. We provide students with a lock and a locker. Our sixth grade teachers will do a great job making sure that the students learn how to use those master locks. Depending on what team you're on, depends what type of lock and locker you have. The older wing of the building has newer, updated lockers where the locks are built in, whereas the newer wing of the building has the older lockers, if you follow that, where we still have like the loop on lockers, but they operate the same way, and everybody will make sure that they know how to use them. Personal belongings should be kept locked in the lockers. We provide support for students, keeping them clean and organized, because if we didn't, it would be pretty gross. I'm going to be honest with you. And the scheduled locker breaks throughout the day. Your child shouldn't be running back and forth to their locker missing instructional time, so the teachers build in those structured breaks when they need to. This is just what one day would look like in another form. You can see T1, T2, T3 means trimester. So in this student schedule, they hypothetically would have Wellness A and Successful Student for the first 60 days, and then Wellness B and Art for the second 60. But you'll see how they have the 7-period day, and they have their lunch built into the schedule. Lunch kind of runs 10:53 is the earliest, with the last lunch ending around 12:05 to kind of give you a ballpark of when that meal happens. Lunch, and I think this comes up a little later, is also still free to students through a reimbursement program with the United States Department of Agriculture. Lunch pins remain the same. This way, we've been using the barcoded IDs, which we hope to use again next year, because that's been a very successful change that we've learned over COVID, where they can just scan their ID, but the numbers that they've been using remain the same throughout their time in the Mansfield Public Schools. At the start of the year, as we're establishing the routines and practices necessary in our cafeteria, students are seated by their team. Once we establish those routines and practices, typically around October 1st, we shift to open seating in the cafeteria. We found that to be a large help in making sure that we understand the things that we need to be taking care of and the expectations in that setting. No child will go hungry. As a reminder, the lunches are at no charge next year for students. The menu is available online, and in a normal year, like next year, as students wrap up their lunches, they have the option, it's not a requirement, but the option to go outside and walk the track to kind of burn off a little steam. We don't have recess at the middle level, but we do offer that, and it's been a very popular opportunity for a lot of students. The school day ends and students are dismissed directly from their last period class at 1:50. Students will have time to go to their lockers and retrieve their belongings. We've been doing it for a while. We know that it works. The first couple of days, we need to make sure that we're providing the support that students need to learn what they're doing, but it does work. Staff will be outside the first few days as students get their materials and leave to help them find their buses, which are in the bus loop in the front of the building, and the buses depart at 2 o'clock. We also have after-school activities that start right after dismissal many days, and we'll talk a little bit about those in the future too, which is now the future. Our teachers are available for extra help Monday through Thursday until at least 2:20. Many of them stay later, but they're available until at least 2:20. So they get from 1:50 to 2:20 each day. The library is open for students until 2:50. And then we have late buses available for those who have bus passes. If a child has a gap in time between the last time they're with the teacher and the late bus, we have a structured area for students to wait that's supervised in the cafeteria for the late buses that will depart promptly at 3 o'clock. One thing I need to make sure I'm very clear about with our 6th grade is the fact that the late bus is for students who are staying after school. There's really no general place for kids to quote unquote hang out. They have to be signed up for something or staying with the teacher that they've arranged or something of that nature. One problem that we are regularly dealing with in a normal year is students saying that they're staying after, leaving at dismissal, going to Memorial Park and hanging out and trying to come back and get back on the buses. We actually have some systems in place to stop that because they've left the school grounds. They've, it looks like they've been dismissed, and there's a level of, honesty we need between parents and families. So if we see them coming back, we don't just not let them get, we don't let them get on the buses, but we will be calling the parent to make sure that they're aware of that. But obviously if they stay after, they can get on the buses. So we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with that practice. We have lots of different after-school activities, and this isn't even a complete list. We'll constantly be announcing them. The way we tell students about these is through our morning announcements. That's where we really share this with the students. It's not something, we don't put every club in the newsletter. It would be 25,000 pages long, and 6th grade students are at that point where they're listening, they're gaining that interest. So we do advertise them to our student body through our morning announcements. So it's a great opportunity. I'm not going to read the whole list, and I'll be honest, there's other ones on there. We can only fit so many on the page. And there's lots of great opportunities for students at QMS after school. I'm going to take a couple minutes to just provide a little additional information on our ensembles program here at QMS and our performing arts department as a whole. We offer 3 ensembles: band, orchestra, and chorus, and we have a robust after-school theater program. The after-school theater program is in addition to theater classes that we call performing arts classes that are offered to every student in 6th and 7th grade, just to kind of give you that snapshot there. I personally, as the principal of the school, feel that these ensembles are incredibly important to the school community, and I really encourage students to get involved and participate. It's a great opportunity. There's no experience required, and Ms. Pepicelli and Ms. Urban will do a lot of presentations early on next school year and possibly heading over to JJ this year about the different opportunities. We want it to be it is positive, it's challenging, it's very creative, the kids love it. Ms. Pepicelli and Ms. Urban are fantastic educators, so it's a great opportunity. Students will learn how to play an instrument. Again, we offer a full band and orchestra program as well as a lesson program. And I'm not going to go through it all over again because I talked about it earlier, but that's the pull-out model described during the when and how they have their pull-out lessons and then the ensembles on Mondays and Fridays. We also have a great after-school drama theater program that offers opportunities in both technical and performance theater. Mr. McCrossan and Ms. Strunen do a fantastic job with this as well. They're hoping to get back to having a live musical. Right now we're doing Aladdin Kids online and it seems really cool, but I know everybody wants to get back on stage. So they do plan on running 2 performances every year. And again, the 6th grade, at some point in the year, will have either Mr. McCrossan or Ms. Strunen for their performing arts class in 6th grade during the school day. There's a link at the bottom of the page there. I know you're on YouTube, so you can't click on it, but the link to the Theater Drama Club page can be found off the QMS homepage as well. As we move into the year, or through the rest of this year, it's going to take a village to be supporting our students throughout this transition. As we go through that process, I encourage you to be positive and reassuring. Everything will be okay. As we start the next school year, a great way to make sure your student can be successful is to help establish clear expectations, the importance and value of learning. Attendance is a very big thing. If you start missing a lot of school days, you can really fall behind. You know, about 3 or 4 school days missed a year tends to be the average when you look at it across the student body. But I'll be honest, if you miss 10 school days or a year or 10 school days a year, you've come close to, by 10th grade, missing 100 days or almost a whole day of school. And we do find in the middle level, when we start looking at attendance histories, that we have 6th or 7th grade students that have missed a year's worth of school days through attendance. And I think that for some students transitioning back to full in-person learning, it's going to be something we do keep an eye on and ask you to. Obviously, there's times when your child shouldn't be in school, but to help make sure that your child learns the value of attendance at school. Establish a structure to support homework and review each night. Make sure that your child, knows where they're going to do it, when they're going to do it. Even 8th graders really aren't developmentally at that point where we can just trust them to go do all of that on their own. So it's something that you do want to keep an eye on. And, encourage your child to stay after school for extra help if they need it. The teachers are there. They love helping the kids. They want to see everybody be successful. It's a great tool at their disposal, and I encourage you to promote that with your child if you see it as a necessity. Communication is important. Make sure that you talk to team liaisons. If you have a general concern, Ms. Martin will be available for anything that might connect to counseling. Each team will have an assistant principal assigned to them. Reach out if you need help, if you have questions. The teams all send out newsletters pretty much every week. I send out what I call the QMS news as needed. It's at least once a week, but sometimes it's more frequently than that. Just so you're ready for this, your child lives in our databases at Jordan Jackson until about August 1st. So if I have anything I need to communicate out to you in July, or June or July, I'll send that through Mr. Narako and JJ. And then once the system rolls over and your child in the computer advances to the middle school, you'll start seeing those notifications coming directly from me. I have to help Ms. Watkins at the high school out the same way. It's just the way the systems work. Always feel free to email or call, and check Aspen regularly. I just keep saying it because everybody still calls it X2. And as a parent, you may look at it and realize it doesn't say X2 anywhere on it, and it gets confusing. But check Aspen regularly. It is updated. All of our teachers use it, and it's a great tool. We're also planning some school-based transition activities. These activities will start with a presentation to your students on June 1st during the school day. I've been coordinating with Mr. Narako on this so we can give a more student targeted presentation similar to this. After that, our team liaisons, and this year we have 4 6th grade liaisons because we have the remote team, but they're going to be facilitating just question and answer sessions. They're going to bring some 6th grade students virtually along with them with your children in their classrooms over the month in June after that student presentation, so your child has more context to what they're going to be asking about. Typically would have a move up day, and it's not really something we can facilitate this year. Tours in August, they wouldn't be required, but we'll send up signups for those tours. They'll be on the 24th and 25th, maybe the 26th. 26th is scheduled as that open house. But we'll have those set up, and we'll get sign up information out after August 1st. The reason we're waiting till after August 1st is that's when the computer system rolls over and I can directly email all of you. Another big thing for our 6th grade that's going to take on even more importance next year is going to be the first 5 days. We at QMS focus on the first 5 days to be a place where we build relationships, establish expectations, and set routines. So we're really excited for that, and that's going to be something that we pump up every year, but for our 5th grade is going to be good. So that's what we have for the scheduled transition activities. Over the course of the next few months, there's lots of places to get information. Please check out the QMS website. We have a program of studies which gives a detailed description of all of the courses that we offer at QMS. The handbook will be up there. We still have updates to the QMS handbook, so I might not look at that until the summer. I mean, you can look at it, but just realize that there may be some adjustments there. We give announcements to students every single day. We have fall mailings that we'll be sending out as well. Check us out on Twitter at QMS_Mansfield in our QMS Pack, which is a great organization that does a lot to support us at QMS, similar to MISA. And we also have the QMS News, which is my newsletter, which, again, I send out at least once a week. But there are times where I send it out multiple times, especially early in the year. So I do send it out as needed because sometimes I need to share more things than others. I'm sure that you're going to have questions. So I'd like to take a moment. There are make sure you have the right people to connect with. So I apologize for that. Our grade 6 counselor, Ms. Martin's available by email. If you have any specific concerns about your child transitioning to the 6th grade, if you have any questions related to special education services at QMS, Dr. Abrams is your go-to person. If your child is on a 504 plan and you have any questions about that, and I do realize with our special ed, as Dr. Abrams mentioned, there's a lot of work to the special ed department does a lot of work to transition them. I apologize. The people running the translated presentations are texting me, and I'm trying to make sure that we're staying up on everybody who's with us today. So I apologize for my lapse there. Dr. Abrams outlined the transition activities for special ed. Ms. Cotillo does the same work with Ms. DeGrasso over at JJ to transition over our students who are on 504 plans. But if you have questions related to your child's 504 plan, feel free to reach out to her. She's our building 504 coordinator. If you have questions directly related to scheduling or our English learner program, Mr. Hoffman would be a great contact. Those are two things that he oversees through his work. If you have specific questions about math placement, then a great resource for you is our math department chair, Ms. Mintz. She'll be happy to speak with you about that. And again, those math placement letters are anticipated that they'll be coming out in early June. I also will communicate the specific date that we're mailing them through Mr. Narako once we have that specific date. Again, the QMS PAC does a lot of great work. Ms. Spivak is the PAC president. She's fantastic. I can't say enough about the support we get from that organization in terms of funding and supporting the different things that we can provide for our students. They can be reached at qmspac@gmail.com. If any questions about registering or residency, if there's somebody watching this that may be currently homeschooling their students that want to re-enroll, or if it's a situation where you're moving to the district or anything like that, registration or residency, you can contact Ms. Aldo in our guidance office at the main number for the school, and she'll be happy to help you out. So with all of that, I'd like to take a moment to look at some larger questions that were sent to me. I know that Ms. Manganaro and Ms. Rossi have done a great job responding to people through the chat, but I'll touch base on some of them that were more overarching. One question was about foreign language, world language. So at QMS, we offer a full year world language program in 7th and 8th grade. We offer French and Spanish. I will use this opportunity to promote the French program for next year's 7th grade because of the fact that we've been seeing declining numbers in French, and if the numbers decline too much, it may get to the point that it would be very problematic to offer it. And I think it's really great, and Ms. Donovan and Ms. McNeely do a fantastic job with that program. So I really would like to see it continue to thrive. So we do offer French and Spanish in their full year courses in 7th and 8th grade instead of literacy. And there's a couple of questions I'm seeing about the presentation on June 1st. It is during the school day. It's scheduled at 9:30 a.m. And it's going to be broadcast directly to all students, including those students at JJ who are remote. So every student should have access to that presentation on June 1st. And we are really looking forward to starting to interact with your children as a whole. So I'd like to kind of end by thanking everybody for joining us this evening. For people who were unable to join us this evening, we will put this presentation recorded on via YouTube. It'll be available at the same link for them to check out. So with all of that, I hope that you have a great evening. And again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us, and welcome to Qualters.